So one of the things I've always disliked about SketchUp ground cover is that it's very bland. In fact, it's worse than bland. It's repetitious. Uh, this I've set up so that would say be a building, and that area with the curves drawn here would be a planting area, let's say. I'm going to add some ground cover here, some river rock from my materials palette. And this is the typical way you might do this. And if you look close, you're going to see a pattern. You can see the diagonals here. This comes up really strongly. And it frustrates most people because it just doesn't look good. So how do you fix that? What I like to do is put some shape into this ground. And in order to do so, I'm going to make a grid. I'm going to copy that out 12 inches and multiple copy that. I think it's 27 required here. Yeah, 27 multiples. So if you type in 27x after making the first copy, you'll get 27 more. I'm going to go ahead and erase all this stuff over here because it's outside of the planting bed. Now to do this the other direction, I have to kind of get this around where I want. I use a window because these lines here, or that line is all divided up into little tiny pieces because of the intersection of these. So use a window, select all that, and I'm going to go ahead and copy that. So move, tap the control key, and you'll get a copy out of it. So I'm going to make that 12 inches, and I would like that to be multiple lines. So I'm going to type in 25x here. 24x looks like it would be okay. And you can see I've created a grid. I'm just going to go ahead and erase all of this. Now these unfortunately are going to be a whole bunch of little lines because that's the way we started with them. So I'm going to use a crossing window and the delete key and eliminate the excess geometry that we have here. By creating that grid, I've given myself something I can manipulate vertically and give some shape to this ground. By doing so, what happens is you're going to break up that repetitious pattern in that ground cover. As such, it's going to look more pleasant for you to look at, and your clients to look at. It's not going to look so much like a cartoon. So get rid of all this excess just about there. Okay, so we have that. Unfortunately, this style that I use, that I like quite a bit, it's called Draftsman, can get a little funky. It sort of comes and goes from your vision, but I like it anyway. I just kind of like the way it looks. I don't know, most architectural style I've found. So we have the grid. This is all cool. We can manipulate this ground by using the smooth tool. It's in the sandbox tools over here. And it can be a little unruly at times. In fact, some people say don't use it at all. But for this particular instance, I like it quite a bit. It's the third tool from the left. And when you click on it, you're going to get a red circle. Here in this case, I've got it set up as a 2-foot radius. I refer to that as the area of influence. So if we click, you can see I get a bunch of yellow nodes. And this only works vertically, but you click and just drag it and click again. So what I'm doing here is I'm putting some undulation in this ground. Because my walls over here of the house are a group, which makes this much easier, I'm not going to affect those. One of the things I do like to do is create some undulation along the building, and that helps this show up quite a bit more. You can be as severe or as minor as you care. You can go up, you can go down. Smooth only works vertically. If you type in a larger radius, here I typed in 4 feet and enter, you can see that circle gets larger, so it's going to affect a much bigger space. And if you're looking for something a little less, pointy, I guess, the bigger that circle, the smoother this is going to look. So I'll leave it at 4 feet. Maybe I knock that down to 3 feet, so you're going to see what happens is that circle gets a little smaller and affects a little smaller area. Be careful along the edge. If you catch this edge, you're going to get some undulation there that you probably don't want. So stay away from the edge. Don't let that circle cross the edge. So what I've done is created some variety of shape here, some rolling landscape, if you will. And you can do this until you're, happy with it. You can move it up, you can move it down, you can play with it. Now, if you get areas like this on the edge that you don't feel comfortable with, you can actually use just the move tool, select that surface and pull up on it. You want to make sure you're going vertically, so tap the up arrow key to keep it on the blue axis. You can pick a surface, you can pick an edge and move it up. Again, tapping the blue arrow key is pretty critical here. You can do it with a point. Just don't pre-select anything. Just use the move tool and drop it on that point. Oops, still got that one pre-selected over there. Again, up arrow key will force this to work the way you want it to. Up arrow key here. So you can see what's happened is I've created a undulating surface. What this is going to do is give some texture to this ground that you don't have in a typical SketchUp flat plane. I want to get rid of all that solid line. So if I select all this and I go to my window box, you're going to see there is a option here for soften edges. And you can see it already happened. As you slide this slider back and forth, it will affect that differently. Smooth normal, smooth coplanar. So you have options here. And you can affect the way that looks. So you can see what I have now is a surface that, has got some nice undulation in it. If you've got some lines left, you can use the eraser tool and tap Control and you can get rid of some of this extraneous stuff. Obviously drop that one down. Eraser tool, Control, you'll get rid of some of that extra stuff. So what this is going to do for me is it's going to get rid of that flat stuff that you get in SketchUp everyday run-of-the-mill ground cover. We drop that on there and you can see what's going to happen. That texture or those grid lines or those repetitious diagonals and all of that are gone. So now I have something more true to life. At least it's going to look better. You will see some dark lines which are actually edges. They come and go. But the whole point here is that all of that grid is gone. That repetitious diagonal carpeting looking stuff that's so ugly is gone. Now if you're going to do photographic renderings, this really works well because normal ground cover just comes off as, well, comes off horrible is what it does. That's about it. I mean, it's a pretty simple process and you can see it only took a couple minutes, but makes a huge difference in your drawing. Search for SketchUp